Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Moving to Australia podcast. I'm your co-host Arun Belur, and with me in the studio is Amitava Deb, founder of Debika Migration Services. Warm afternoon to you, Amitava.
Good afternoon, Arun. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about you? How's your health?
Oh, it's good. Fine. Thank you.
So today you want to talk about parent visa.
That's
Okay.
right. Because I have a lot of clients who ring up and say, how can we bring our parents? Not just that. There are clients who want to migrate, but they are really concerned that they have to leave their parents behind. So they ask, once we move, how can we bring our parents, or can we bring our parents with us?
All right, then let's dive right into this topic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of options available for someone who wants to bring their parents
it
in.
can be very confusing. There are too many options, but we really do not have a very good option.
Okay, so let's start with Subclass 103.
Mm-hmm. That's the age-old normal parent visa, which probably is there just for academic reason, because you know how long it takes. The current turnaround time for 103 is 50 years.
Wow, why is it so long?
Because the allocation per year is less and the queue is getting bigger and bigger. So I think next year it'll become 60 years and 70 years. It's ridiculous. So basically the government have realized that it is madness. They probably are going to introduce some changes, but until then, 103, I would say, is for those who have younger parents who want to, who can apply, and then they can come and go after applying. And at some point, maybe the queue will move faster and they can get the visa.
Was it always the case? That wait times were like 40, 50 years?
No, it was not, because the number of applicants were less in the past. As we are getting more and more migrants, and especially from the subcontinent who are more keen on getting their parents, the number of migrants from the subcontinent has increased, and so has increased the demand for parent visas.
So the fee for this visa is Australian dollars
Around
5,125.
5,000, yes.
Okay.
5,000 for the main primary applicant, and then for the secondary applicant, which can be the spouse or children under 18, that will be less, like half of that.
So since this takes so long, it's such a drawn-out affair, what do you recommend that someone do who wants to bring their parents in? Which visa subclass should they opt for?
There are several options. One is if one parent is above 67. 67 is the age when they are retired, or they can claim retirement. So in Australia, the retirement age is 67. If a parent is 67 or above, they are eligible to apply for aged parent visa. Aged parent visa, one can apply only in Australia. So that means they have to be in Australia on a visa which allows them to come here and lodge. So one of those such visa could be visitor visa, which does not have the condition that prohibits them from applying on shore. Aged parent visa is subclass 804. The cost is similar to the parent visa.
Subclass 103, when you say parent visa.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
similar to the subclass 103 parent visa. But that is onshore, which means they will get a bridging visa, which also means that they can be in Australia onshore with their children until a decision is made. The downside of this is that they will not get Medicare while waiting, and the wait could be 15 years, 20 years, who knows. So you'll have to get a private health insurance if anything happens to them.
Can one apply for a subclass 103 while their parents are onshore, or the parents have to be offshore?
So 103 is an offshore application. So they can be in Australia when they apply, but it will be treated as an offshore application, and there is no bridging visa.
So they have to leave the country.
Yes. They have to leave their country when their visa, whatever the visa is when they are on shore, when it expires.
The processing time for aged parent visa, is it the same?
It is much less, but it's also going up. Currently, I think it's about 15 years, 15 plus years. I will never say minus because it keeps on growing and growing every year. But this is the most popular option for those who have at least one parent above the age of 67.
Okay. What about people who have younger parents?
So
What options do they have?
there is an option for contributory parent visa. Contributory parent visa is where you pay the same kind of fees when you lodge. It'll be prioritized and queued faster. And at the time of visa grant, you have to pay a huge amount, like
What?
a balloon.
How much is that?
It's about 45 to 50,000 per applicant. So if you have your father and your mother, you pay 90,000.
That's a huge sum.
It is, but you know what? This was a huge, huge sum maybe 15 years ago when it was introduced. Nowadays, for a lot of people, especially from India, it's not a huge sum. When they think of the benefits of having their parents with them. So the queue is getting longer and longer, which also means the priority is just going down.
So when you're paying such a huge sum upfront, or at least when the visa is granted, what kind of processing time are we looking at?
At this point, I think it has gone up to about 12 years, 10 to 12 years. It used to be 3 to 4 years about 6 years ago. So 6 years ago, I had lodged for some parents and they're still waiting.
So in spite of paying such a huge amount, you still end up waiting for almost a decade?
That's because the allocations every year is less, limited, maybe more than the normal parent visa, but it is still less, and hence it's not able to process the queue as fast as the applications are coming in.
Can one apply for this visa while their parents are onshore, or they have to be offshore?
So no, just like the other 103 visa, 143 contributory parent visa, it doesn't matter. I mean, they can apply if they are onshore. It will be treated as offshore visa, so they will not get a bridging visa. However, there is an onshore contributory aged parent visa, subclass 864. That is for those who have at least one parent turn 67, just like the aged parent visa. So you'd expect this to be processed a bit faster.
And what are the benefits of 864? Will it be treated as an offshore application?
864 can only be applied onshore. It is onshore aged parent visa, and it is for those who have at least one parent who has turned 67, and they will get a bridging visa, which will allow them to stay in Australia until a decision is made. And they have still got to pay $90,000 at the time of grant.
My God.
But there is another option. It's called Contributory Parent Temporary Visa. So it's subclass 173 if it is not aged, meaning it's offshore. And what it does is it allows you to break that large amount of $95,000 into two parts. So first you pay 29,000 something, and then you pay 19,000 something.
So you don't apply for the 143, you just apply for the 173.
You get contributory parent temporary visa. They then come on shore and they're eligible to apply for the next visa, which is again contributory parent visa.
How long can one stay on this temporary visa? The subclass 173.
They have to apply within 28. Well, they have an expiry date, and they have to apply within the expiry date. I don't remember. It could be a year. They have got a year to arrive in Australia and then apply for the second phase.
Okay.
And then you have contributory aged parent temporary also. Aged parent means they can apply for the visa onshore, pay half the amount, and they get the visa, and after that they apply for the contributory aged parent visa.
And what's the fee for this contributory agent parent visa?
It's the same. It's the same as the contributory parent visa. You have to pay the balloon of $90,000 if there are two parents, $45,000 if there is one parent. And if you split it into two parts, contributory aged parent temporary, you pay $29,000, and then you pay the 17,000 or 19,000, whatever it is.
Now, why are there so many visas? I mean, do Mara agents get in touch with the government and ask them why have they made it so complicated?
Well, the government is aware of it. It is there's a lot of legacy behind all these. That it's not just the parent visa. Everywhere we have got a lot of subclasses. Even for skilled migration, you've got 189, 190, 491, 186, blah blah. So many. So, sometimes they try to clean it up, and then it grows again.
But what do they achieve by having so many subclasses for parents? I mean, if someone moves here and they want to bring their parents in, and when they look at the timeline, processing times like 40, 50 years, most parents won't even be alive.
Yeah, so they're going to introduce what they call as temporary ongoing parent visa. So basically the parents will be here. All these visas which you're applying for, let's say onshore aged parent visa, it's going to be a long wait. You keep waiting onshore. So there's no hiding. These are all temporary visas because everyone is waiting. And who knows, parents are getting older. How long they have to wait before it's too late. That's how it is. Now there's another visa I want to talk about, Subclass 870. And that is known as sponsored parent visa. There's one important aspect I should highlight. For all the parent visas that we described so far, there is a criteria called balance of family. Do you know what that is?
No.
Balance of family means the parents are eligible only if half or more of their children are in Australia. Otherwise, they cannot apply. They're not eligible.
For this subclass?
For
any?
All these subclasses. Okay. All these subclasses that I have described so far. What is balance of family? Half or more of children must be in Australia. If the applicant parent has 3 children, then 2 must be in Australia. If they have 2 children, then 1 must be in Australia. If out of 3 children, only 1 is in Australia, they are not eligible because it doesn't satisfy the balance of family.
They cannot apply for any of the parent visa subclasses that we discussed.
No, they're never eligible. My parents are in that category. I have 2 siblings who are not Australians. One is in New Zealand, another in Atlanta or in the US. So basically my parents are not eligible for any of the PR parent visas.
So what's the solution when an applicant finds himself or herself in a situation like that?
We have to find out a solution. Now, there is an option called 870. It is sponsored parent visa. You pay $5,000 for 3 years or $10,000 for a 5-year visa. And you can only be able to do it twice. So maximum you can get this visa for your parents is 10 years. The eligibility criteria for that is that the Australian child who is sponsoring them must earn more than 83,000 something per annum. Otherwise, the parents are not eligible.
Does the child also need to be a citizen or a permanent resident?
Yes, of course. Child has to be a citizen or permanent resident for all these visas.
Okay.
There is a catch. If someone applies for 870, now 870 does not need the balance of family test to be satisfied. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if someone applies for 870, they are forbidden to apply for any parent visa, PR parent visa options that I described so far ever again.
Oh, I was not aware of this.
Yeah. So not many people are aware of it. So once they apply, 870 granted. In the future, after 10 years, because it's only something that one can get for 10 years maximum. After that, that's it.
The parents have no pathway for permanent residency.
No, they can come and go, visitor visa, that's it. But visitor visa, has so many restrictions. 12 months in 18 months or 3 month each trip, so many things. So it's sad.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. There are options like, aged dependent relative visa. So if only one parent is alive and is dependent on you, you can get your parent on aged dependent relative visa, which they can apply onshore, and that parent doesn't need to satisfy the balance of family criteria.
But will that parent have a pathway to permanent residency?
That is the permanent resident visa application. They can apply onshore. Again, it's a long wait, 15, 20 years.
Well, that's quite horrible, if you ask me.
Any questions, Arun?
No, I'm just surprised that it takes so long to bring your parents in. Whereas when you look at a country like United States, if you're a citizen, you can apply for a green card and that green card is processed within 3 months. There is no quota for that.
Hopefully it's all going to change.
I hope so. Well, thank you. Thank you for this discussion.
Thank you, Arun.
We can end this podcast on that note. Thank you for tuning in, folks, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.